Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be looking at media communication
Oh, geez.
through this lens of structure versus agency.
Okay.
And we're looking at this paper, like literally titled Structure versus Agency. And then we've got some like supporting articles too to
Yeah.
kind of round things out,
Yeah.
add a little bit more intrigue. And I kind of see this deep dive as like a detective's investigation,
Oh, okay.
Are we shaping the world through the media, or is the media like secretly shaping
That's
us?
a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a mystery. So I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah, it's easy to take our media for granted.
Oh, yeah.
Just turn on the TV or scroll through our phones, like without even thinking about
Totally.
all the forces behind what we're seeing and hearing.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right? Like
Yeah.
these sources suggest that those like invisible forces, those structures, they might have way more influence than we realize.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like think about those old rotary phones.
The paper uses them as an example to show how
Mm-hmm.
media technology often evolves based on economics, not just user needs, like touch tone dialing and mobile phones.
Yeah.
Weren't just about making communication easier.
Right.
They were also about companies finding new ways to profit.
Wow, that's a good point. It's like we think we're choosing the latest gadgets, but
Yeah.
maybe the market is choosing for us to some extent.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of freaky.
It is a little bit.
And the paper even quotes this media scholar, Philip M. Napoli,
Okay.
and he points out that the economics of media often take center stage, even when you think about government regulation.
He even goes so far as to say that regulatory bodies like the FCC
Wow.
are increasingly using economic analysis to make decisions.
Huh.
It makes you wonder, like, if factors like cultural diversity or public interest, they kind of get
Yeah.
pushed aside when dollars and cents enter the picture.
Yeah, like it becomes less about the people and more about the money, sadly. Yeah.
So we're starting to see how, like, economics play a huge role in shaping this media landscape.
Right.
But what about technology itself?
Yes.
The paper dives into this idea of technological determinism,
So
which sounds really complex,
it does.
but it's actually really mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah, so technological determinism suggests that technology advances with its own agenda and kind of shapes society in ways we don't always anticipate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like that quote from Croteau and Hoynes.
Yeah.
They say, society is transformed according to a technical rather than a human agenda.
Right.
That's heavy.
That's pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
So think about your smartphone.
Okay.
It's changed like the way you communicate, how you get information,
Yeah.
even how you think. Do you check it constantly?
Uh-huh.
Do you feel anxious without it?
Maybe.
That's not just a personal choice, right?
Right.
It's partly because the technology itself is designed to be like addictive.
Yes, very much so. Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But it makes total sense. And we can actually see the same pattern throughout history.
Okay.
Like, look at the printing press.
Yeah.
Before it came along, knowledge was limited to, like, a select few.
Right.
But suddenly, bam! Information could be shared widely,
Total.
leading to huge changes like the Reformation
Yeah.
and the Scientific Revolution.
The printing press didn't just like facilitate communication.
Right.
It completely reshaped power structures.
Mm.
Suddenly the church wasn't the only one controlling information.
Yeah, it's like it democratized knowledge in a way.
Exactly.
Oh,
And then the internet comes along.
oh yeah.
And bam,
Oh, other one?
another massive shift
Okay.
in how we connect and consume information.
Uh.
Suddenly we're connected globally.
It's crazy.
Entire industries like online dating
Yes.
spring up.
So wild.
I mean, remember that feeling of awe when you first experienced the internet?
Oh, for sure.
It felt like a whole new world opening up, didn't it?
Totally.
It's incredible to think about how these technologies, while empowering in many ways,
Yeah.
also impose certain structures on our lives.
It's like a double-edged sword in a way.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Speaking of technology shaping our choices,
Yeah.
let's look at a modern day example. Those personalized ads
Yeah.
that seem to follow you
Oh, yeah.
everywhere online. It's a little unnerving, isn't it?
It's totally creepy. Like, I swear the other day I was talking about buying a unicycle, and then suddenly, bam, ads for unicycles everywhere.
Wow.
It's like they're reading our minds,
Yeah.
or at least our search histories.
Right. This targeted advertising really illustrates how profit often trumps individual preferences in the digital age.
Totally.
Like our data is valuable,
Yeah.
and companies are finding increasingly sophisticated ways to use it to their advantage.
Yeah, and that brings us to another layer of this structure, right? Media consolidation.
Yeah.
It seems like every day there's a new headline about like some mega corporation.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Gobbling up another smaller company.
Right.
And the paper argues that this trend further solidifies media's role as a structure,
Mm-hmm.
concentrating power in the hands of a few
Yeah.
and potentially limiting our choices even more.
Exactly. Like,
It's kind of scary.
take the example of Disney buying 20th Century Fox
Oh, yeah.
for a whopping $71 billion.
That's crazy.
That deal gave Disney control over an enormous library of content and, like, totally reshaped the entertainment landscape.
Yeah, it wasn't just about the money either.
Right.
Like, that deal required approval from the Department of Justice, showing how, like, political and economic forces are all intertwined when it comes to media.
Absolutely.
It really raises the question, like, are we really getting a diversity of viewpoints?
Right.
When a handful of companies control so much of what we see and hear?
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
This concentration of media ownership
Mm-hmm.
has led to an increasingly oligarchical system
Wow.
where decisions made by a few powerful entities impact everyone else. That's heavy.
It is.
It can feel a bit overwhelming, right? Like, even if we try to be mindful consumers,
Yeah.
we're still operating within a system that's largely controlled by these media giants.
Yeah, that's where regulations come in.
Okay.
The paper acknowledges their role in trying to maintain
Mm-hmm.
some balance and fairness in the media system.
So there are safeguards in place.
Right.
But the paper also points out that these regulations often struggle to keep pace
Yeah.
with the rapid evolution of technology and like the ever-shifting strategies of these massive companies.
It's like a constant game of catch-up.
Yeah.
And this is particularly evident when it comes to issues like privacy and advertising.
You know, it's interesting because we have all these privacy laws in place.
Right.
Yet we've also seen examples like the Facebook scandal,
Uh-huh.
where personal information was sold to third parties,
Yeah,
and revelations about government agencies collecting vast amounts of data.
it's true.
It makes you wonder how much control we really have over our own information.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
These examples show that even with regulations, individual privacy can be compromised
Right.
by powerful institutions, both public and private.
It's kind of scary.
And often, profit seems to take precedence over personal preferences, as we see with those personalized ads
Yeah.
that follows around the internet.
Like little spies.
Exactly.
It's almost like a paradox. On one hand, technology has given us like unprecedented access to information and the ability to connect with people worldwide.
Right.
Yet on the other hand, it's created this complex structure where our choices are influenced by
Yeah.
economic forces, technological advancements, and these massive corporations that increasingly control the flow of information.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us? Are we just pawns in this game?
That's the question.
Is there any way to reclaim some agency in this seemingly structured media landscape? That's the million-dollar question, right? Like, knowing how much influence these structures have can feel a bit daunting.
Yeah, it's true.
Do we just surrender and accept that our choices are limited? Or is there like a way to navigate this landscape a little more consciously?
Well, the paper does offer a glimmer of hope.
Okay, good.
It suggests that by understanding the power of these structures, we can become like more critical consumers of media.
So it's not about like rejecting technology altogether
Right.
or living off the grid,
Exactly.
but more about just being aware of the forces at play.
Being informed and making conscious choices about what we consume
Okay.
and how we engage with it.
So it's about cultivating that media literacy.
Yes.
Understanding how media is produced and distributed and consumed, and like recognizing those underlying agendas that might be shaping the content we encounter.
Yeah, it's like you say knowledge is power, but sometimes knowing how rigged the system is
Right.
can also feel pretty discouraging.
Oh,
How do we
yeah.
avoid falling into despair?
Yeah, because it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But I guess awareness is that first step towards empowerment, right? By understanding the game, so to speak,
Yes.
we can start to maybe play it a little differently.
Play it better.
So instead of feeling like pawns, we can become more strategic players.
Right, exactly.
But how do we do that practically? Like, what are some things we can actually do to be more critical consumers of media?
Well, I think it starts with questioning everything.
Okay.
Don't just passively absorb what you see and hear.
Yeah?
Ask yourself, who created this message?
Mm-hmm.
What's their agenda?
Right.
What perspectives are maybe missing from this?
So it's about looking beyond the surface.
Yes.
Digging a little deeper.
Yeah.
Considering the source and the potential biases behind the information.
Precisely.
Okay, got it.
And it's also about seeking out diverse perspectives.
Hmm.
Don't limit yourself to, like, one news source
Yeah.
or one social media platform.
Makes sense.
Expose yourself to different viewpoints,
Okay.
even those you might initially disagree with.
That's good advice because it is so easy to get stuck in our own echo chambers, just consuming content that only reinforces our existing beliefs.
Right.
But by actively seeking out different perspectives, we can challenge our own assumptions
For sure.
and like develop a more nuanced understanding of the world.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And remember, media isn't just something that happens to us.
Mm-hmm.
We are active participants in
Mhm.
shaping the media environment.
Okay.
We can choose what we support, what we share,
Right.
and what we engage with.
That's such an important reminder because it's easy to feel powerless
Yeah.
in the face of these massive media structures, but we do have some agency.
We do.
We can vote with our wallets, our attention, our voices.
Absolutely. And ultimately, I think it's about recognizing that media, for all its complexities and potential pitfalls,
Yeah.
is also a powerful tool for connection, learning, and social change.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From the influence of economics and technology
Mm-hmm.
to the power of media consolidation
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of media literacy.
It's been a fascinating exploration of this complex relationship between structure and agency in media communication.
And while it's clear that those structures exert a powerful influence, we also have the capacity to be critical consumers and active participants in shaping the media landscape.
Absolutely.
So to wrap things up, I think the key takeaway here is that awareness is key.
Awareness is key.
The more we understand about how media operates,
Yeah.
the better equipped we are to navigate its complexities
Mm-hmm.
and make informed choices.
And remember, it's an ongoing process.
So true.
Keep asking questions, keep challenging assumptions,
Okay.
and keep exploring different perspectives.
That's fantastic advice for navigating not just the media world, but life in general. So until next time, fellow deep divers, stay curious, stay critical, and keep those minds engaged.